Hello and welcome to my most recent build log for Stronghold Kingdoms. Now this one is not going to be live, so to speak, so if you're watching this right after I put it up, you're actually not going to be seeing the progress that I'm making as I'm making it. This is due to a couple of factors. Number one, it takes a lot of effort to produce content on a daily basis when you actually have other things going on, and number two, if I offset it, there's less likelihood that people are going to take advantage of the situation, so to speak, and mess with me in that way. So if you have a time delay, things tend to go better. So what I'm going to be focusing on here is basically how to do a build that will focus a bit more on banqueting to make honor. My last build, I focused largely on using passive means to generate honor, and I think that one turned out quite positively. I didn't use any cards in that one, but this one I'll be using some light carding, and so I'll just be covering that and what I did in the past about 24 hours. Okay, so right here you can see my village. Now unfortunately I'm going to have to convert this village to a highland once the time limit is removed. So in a day and 1 hour, I'll be able to convert it to a highland. Now the reason that I need to do this is because highlands have a lot more iron available in them. And the strategy that I'm going to be using is a little bit newer, but it's just going to focus on all highland villages, and they're going to be producing the 4 base banqueting good types. So I'm not going to be using any special village types to do this, just the highland, and I'm going to be going after the 4 basic banqueting good types: venison, furniture, metalware, and clothing. And the reason for this is because the cards available for all of those are relatively cheap, and you don't actually have to have a dedicated village type. So each village that you own is going to be producing the full amount of all of those 4 banqueting good types. So as you can see right here, if you want to buy cards for those 4 good types, we have deer stalking. Let's go with the cheapest one. 8 points, 9 points for furniture, 10 for metalcraft, and 11 for tailoring. And each of these cards lasts 12 hours, so you're going to be playing 2 a day to keep up production rates. It's pretty cheap. In addition to this, we're also going to be investing in the banqueting technology. Now, I haven't actually started to do this yet, but I have unlocked the first 2. What we're going to do here is we're going to max out these first 4 branches of banqueting technology. This is a little bit different from what you usually see, but we're going to be making a massive amount of banqueting goods because of this. And although it's going to be costly, it's also going to make us money and a lot of honor at the same time. And you can actually boost the amount of honor you're making off of these banquets with some cards, although those cards that boost honor banquet honor production are only available through card packs. So here, to get started with the village, I'm just going to cover things I built: 7 woodcutters huts, 4 stone quarries, working on another 2 hovels, 4 hunters huts, 5 dairy farms, and 4 apple farms, 2 carpenters workshops, and a market. When it comes to the castle, just have the basics. That's really all you need for now. Let's go to education first. The first research that I maxed out was mathematics. Now this is debatable. You'll always end up maxing out mathematics in the end anyway, but if you're not going to be keeping your research queue full, it can be a waste of research points in the early game. It's not a bad research, but depending upon your playstyle and how hard you're going for this, if you can't keep your research queue full, it's not necessary to max it out right away. I did. I'm not regretting it, but I just want to make you aware that it's not the only way that you can go. The second research I invested in was merchant guilds. I completely maxed that out for 5 merchants per market. This is always a good research because you're going to need to sell a lot to make the gold needed to build all of these banqueting buildings. I'm currently investing a couple of points into engineering, so that way overnight my village hall doesn't become so full that banqueting goods are going to waste. Put 1 point into arts, but that's not really what I'm focusing on because I'm going to be focusing on banqueting honor, not passive honor. In the farming tab, I put 1 point into dairy farming. This is just to unlock a second food type and to complete the quest. Now, I plan on unlocking all 3 food types for the highland village. The highland village is capable of building the meat farm, the dairy farm, and the apple farm. So I'm going to be using all 3 of those because I don't plan on investing any research points into their production. So I'm going to be playing those cards pretty much twice a day all the time. And they are rather cheap cards. Orchard management, if we go for the lowest one, is 7 card points, milkmaid 7, and pig breeding is 8. So once again, it's going to be pretty cheap when it comes to keeping these cards in play all the time. and ultimately we're going to save a lot of research points that we can dedicate to much better areas of research, such as banqueting. In the military tab, I left this alone. I'll be focusing on this a little while later, but at the moment we need to get our economy up and running. Then finally, over here in industry, I completely maxed out the tools research. I know I'm a big fan of this. Some people might not need to do this, but since we're going to be building villages that have a very strong emphasis on banqueting good production, we're going to have to build a lot of banqueting buildings, and that means that we're going to really see costs start to skyrocket in terms of gold. So by maxing out the tools research, I'm reducing the cost of these buildings, the gold cost of these buildings, quite significantly, and it's going to make it much more affordable in the long term, especially if you're starting out in a new world like I am, where gold is really not easy to come by, or as easy to come by as it is in later gameplays. So in addition to the aforementioned tools, I also invested 2 points in banqueting, and then 1 point in hunting and 1 point in carpentry to unlock each respective building that are associated with those techs. I will be, like I said earlier in this video, I will be maxing these out fully, all 4 of them, as we work our way through this. In terms of quests, I just completed the basic ones: Master Forester, Healthy Rations, Construction Crazy, Expanding Knowledge, Chainmail, Gold Horde, Spread the Word, and Making Contact. I'm not going to be focusing too much on quests. I mean, it's going to be a focus part here. I'm just going to complete Cultured Peasants. It's going to be something that I'm going to do, just not a big focus part. So that, for example, I didn't research scouts. You could if you wanted to, but I didn't find it necessary quite yet. So right here is my village on the map. Not bad, but like I said, I'm going to end up converting it within a day's time. So unfortunately, all that progress is going to be erased, but you know, that's the way it's got to be to do this build. Really, it's quite... right there is just a random full village within a day. Yeah. He obviously used some instant card strategies, didn't he? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. As usual, you can also check out my previous no cards playthrough where I go for a full passive honor build. I will be linking that in the description below this video and in the card. So anyway, thank you very much again for listening, for watching, and I hope to see you next time.
Stronghold Kingdoms. The battle has just begun.